These interviews, these conversations, these podcasts, these shows, what they are engines for content creation. What a lot of senior leadership misses out on this idea as podcasts as an investment for your business is that you get a lot out of it for everyone involved. For the CEO or the executive who might be interested in having a conversation on a podcast, you automatically reinforce your thought leadership. You get clips out of it that you can share. You could have content that reinforces your history, that talks about your founder stories, that talks about the pivotal moments in your product and the people behind it. Those clips have the potential to reach new customers, reach new employees, reach new friends, reach new champions. So you have the opportunity not just to create this platform for people to listen to you and hear about your product and your business, but for you as a person to establish your own thought leadership, your own expertise that you can carry with you outside of that conversation, outside of that organization, and well into the future. All right, who am I? I'm Hazelmaker, kinda. I'm Dion Hazelbaker, which is Hazelmaker. I'm Dion Hazelbaker. I just started my business Hazelmaker in October of 2025, and I'm super excited to help people tell their stories. I'm a solopreneur and small business owner in Indianapolis. I'm a local business owner, community guy, person who loves indie restaurants, person who loves restaurants in general. I'm a cyclist, someone who likes to adventure. I'm a traveler. I'm a reader. I try to be a good partner. I'm someone who considers himself a nerd, a very techie guy, a fun guy, not a fungi, although I do like mushrooms. I really want to have kindness in my heart for as many people as I can. Isn't always the case, but I do strive. I'm someone who wants to be more locally invested and help my community. Someone who has been creative for his entire life. I used to stay up until like 5, 6 a.m. before school just drawing as like a 4-year-old. Draw anime characters, anything in my imagination, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers. I even think back to those days and when I would play with my action figures and come up with these elaborate stories. As an adult, I've been a content marketer for almost 20 years. I've been a creative for even longer than that, and I've been in podcasting for almost 5 years. And I think one of the strengths I bring to the table is that I actually went to journalism school. I actually was on the paper. I was actually helping people tell stories even after college, for work, for marketing. So I think just the storytelling background that I have really helps me in my efforts to tell stories for other people too. I see what I do as not just podcasting, but a type of storytelling that really helps people with with their marketing content, and it aligns your marketing goals with what you're having conversations about so that you can really maximize the ROI on these investments. Podcasts and these conversations are investments, and if you invest in them wisely, you can get a lot of return. Half the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I want to get to a certain level in my life that I can be more involved in just the community, helping out with community projects, making our neighborhoods better. We have so many problems in our lives in Indianapolis and the world. I just want to have a way to break free from this financial prison that we've created for ourselves with the 9 to 5 and help people tell their stories in a way that is fun for me. It's really rewarding to be able to talk to someone, to be able to make them comfortable, to be able to suss out of them all of these deep thoughts that help them be successful, that help them, create what they're doing in the world, do what they're doing in the world. I really want to help people tell their stories more efficiently, have more control, be more in power over the concepts you put out into the world. What I'm doing is important because it serves a lot of different needs. There are a lot of people out there who are just kind of starting a podcast to start a podcast. It's aimless, maybe no direction, maybe don't have the ideas on how it can align with your overall marketing efforts. A lot of people just want a podcast to have an outlet to talk. I don't think it's really the greatest outlet for that. I think that it's a communication platform, it's a channel, and if you can structure it in a way that is interesting, then you have a lot of power for connecting with your audience. I've seen a lot of people be successful with both kinds of podcasts, really structured, really aimless, kind of just having fun. But the ones that have been the most interesting to me are those that realize this is a platform that can be used to exponentially scale your business and help you in those efforts. There are so many ways you can use podcasts as a method and as a medium other than what it started as. We think of NPR, Fresh Air, some of those kinds of, storytelling companies, journalism reporters, but, and they're always telling these stories creatively, maybe trying to tell essays and, the things that make us resonate with those human feelings. I think the best thing to do with podcasts is realize there's so much that can be used for content creation, whether it's blogs or social clips or coming up with quotes that highlight your experience, coming up with highlight quotes from a conversation that you can use in a graphic design capacity. These interviews, these conversations, these podcasts, these shows, what they are engines for content creation. What a lot of senior leadership misses out on this idea as podcasts as an investment for your business is that you get a lot out of it for everyone involved. For the CEO or the executive who might be interested in having a conversation on a podcast, you automatically reinforce your thought leadership. You get clips out of it that you can share. Those clips have the potential to reach new customers, reach new employees, reach new friends, reach new champions. So you have the opportunity not just to create this platform for people to listen to you and hear about your product and your business, but for you as a person to establish your own thought leadership, your own expertise that you can carry with you outside of that conversation, outside of that organization, and well into the future. A lot of this content is evergreen if you do it the right way. You could have content that reinforces your history, that talks about your founder stories, that talks about the pivotal moments in your product and the people behind it. I've also seen people use podcasts in such a way that they create a repository of resources and educational materials. So all of a sudden, if you need to share resources during onboarding, if you need to share resources onboarding a new employee, then you can share a conversation from the CEO himself or some of the most important stakeholders at your company so that they can have that exposure to the person they're onboarding. It's really interesting too to think about how podcasts can be this platform for cooperation. When we choose to have a conversation, it's a two-way street, hopefully. Sometimes you get those people who don't like to listen, who don't like to come on and say anything but their agenda. And those are really the conversations I avoid at all costs. What I like to do and help people realize is that when you go ahead and have this conversation with another person, you have an opportunity to invite your guests who are champions, who are employees, who are your founders, co-founders, who are your partners in business from other companies, who are rivals, even that offers you a space for collaborating in a different way. And I just think that it's so interesting having this multi-platform, multi-use approach for podcasts because if you speak to someone who is repurposing minded and also forward thinking about the kind of conversations I think about, then your business is just going to thrive in ways you wouldn't expect, you wouldn't think. Having that content, um, video first is really wonderful because it gives people something that is not standard. It's not just your regular photo that you can look at. It's a story, and you take some time to digest it. People resonate with it. They might not on the first try, but eventually, hopefully. And it's that repeated exposure that really helps people learn more, be curious, build curiosity about your brand. And I think that's one reason that conversations and podcasts are a perfect pairing for marketing and what I'm trying to do to help people. The cost of what I charge, if we're talking for a full season and we're going around 50K, and if you think about the possibility of return on that 50K plus all the assets you get beyond the story, it's kind of a no-brainer. There's so much content that I provide that I know how to do expertly that when you try to go to another team, you end up working with, 10 people who are disorganized, who may not have the same skill sets, who may not have the same emphasis on storytelling, who might just be looking for something flashy. I always tell people that, you know, anybody can get a sick drone shot, but not everybody can sit somebody down and make them comfortable and laugh and have a conversation and get these very human moments out of them. And I think those human moments are the best moments that we have. Those are the moments where people hear it and they want to know more about us. They want to reach out. They want to use our product. They want to use our service. It's the stories that make people interested in those. Um, Sometimes the promotions as well, but more often than not, the stories. And if you're someone who's an expert, you can bundle stories with promotions and then really see how those two complement each other in a way that can be very effective. I guess just another note on pricing. A lot of the time, an agency that works on podcasts specifically is going to string you along and put you into this month by month subscription cost. You might get one or two episodes a month out of it. You might work with teams that are all over the world. I mean, one of the reasons I started my business was because I saw how much of a clusterfuck all of that was when you tried to have some of these people running podcast agencies who don't even have the skills or the expertise or the equipment or the know-how to operate that equipment, and they want to tell your stories. That is unacceptable to me. I think if you're going to go and trust somebody with your story, they should do the work to at least be able to understand what you're trying to do on their own without having to put it through 10 different layers of creative and admin. I think a lot of people are just focused on the visual quality and not the substance of a conversation. And I think that needs to change. And we need to have more in depth conversations that talk to people, follow up, dig deeper. That's not something you see in a lot of B2B and SaaS podcasts today. And I think if we were to see more of that, you would see people be respected for that expertise more and just for entertaining us. Everybody wants to be entertained. We're storytelling creatures. And if you are trying to just tell a story without it being guided, without there being any rubric or structure or any forethought into why it's interesting to the people who you want as your customers, then you're really doing them a disservice. And I think the more we try to treat people like story consumers, the more we're going to go ahead and get them to be actual consumers of our products and services. And the more we have each other's stories readily available, the more easy it is for us to connect with each other, for us to see each other's stories and lives, to walk a mile in each other's boots. I think stories connect people, and I think stories make the world more bearable. And I think they make it more fun. I think they make it more interesting. what I'm seeing in marketing from some of these larger organizations is that they've kind of forgot that. This should all be fun. Because what's the point? Even the most dire of product or service can have an element of fun. And I think that we all need to try to insert a little bit more enjoyment into our daily lives. For me, conversations are a way to do that. I'm a chatty Cathy. Everywhere I go, someone's there I can talk to. Even if I'm not trying to talk to somebody, I often end up in conversations. And it's in those interesting, random, stranger conversations where I always feel like the weight of the world is lifted a little bit more, like I learned something interesting. And I think there's such a good avenue for us to take that lesson in business and apply it in order to make some really good content. I want to do this kind of work because I know I know there's a future here helping people, small businesses, community businesses, national businesses. I know there's an opportunity to help them tell their stories better, and I know there's a way to provide a more stable layer for myself and living experience for myself. Trying to work in various creative roles as an adult in a 9 to 5 capacity has been really, really hard. I don't really like that sometimes, if that's been my experience, but I do get a lot of compliments about the quality of the work I do and the way I try to treat people. And I'm really proud of that. If you think some of what I'm talking about is interesting or you agree with it, I would love for you to tell me what you resonate with. What kind of projects are you working on that you think would benefit from a video storytelling component? Where do you think the podcast industry is going? And do you see room for small creators like myself to come in and do this kind of business for large organizations?